Good morning.
Oh, okay. Like I said, my speaker just went a little bit crackly as you were talking there. So I guess our Zoom meetings will be coming to an end here at the end of this month, huh?
Yeah, I don't know if we have all the details. There's some late legislation or bills being contemplated at the governor's office, and we just don't have enough information to know exactly. Abby's got a little more information, but not everything we need to make a decision today.
Yeah, as of right now, nothing has been signed that changes the executive order N21, which requires us to resume in-person meetings or follow the Brown Act posting requirements that were prior to the original governor's order last year. But there are, like Don said, there's an Assembly Bill 361 that we're very closely watching that could provide some other options for the board. So we just felt like we had incomplete information to bring it as an item today. So most likely we'll be talking about it at the next meeting.
Okay. Very good. Thank you.
You're welcome. And good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Abby.
Good morning, everyone. This is Lisa Westbrook, and I'm filling in for Melissa McMullen today for the board meeting. So I believe, Barbara, whenever you're ready, we can go ahead and get started.
Thank you, Lisa. And bear with me. I just need to switch computers so I can have a reliable stream. So bear with me here. Then we'll get going. Okay, there we go. Okay. All right. Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to Tuesday, September 14th, 2021's regular board meeting. Thank you, Lisa, for taking over while Melissa is out of the office. And with that, I'm calling the meeting to order. And Lisa, would you please call the roll?
Yes, let's see. We've got Barbara Balin.
Here.
Jeff Hearn.
Here.
David Boatwright.
Here.
Lisa Murphy.
Here.
Don Reagan.
Here.
All board members are in attendance.
Great. Good. Thank you, Lisa. Okay. So let's have the Pledge of Allegiance. And is Corey ready for the flag?
Yes.
Great. So please join me as you put your mics on mute, and I'll lead us in a pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Well, we'll begin with the public forum. We would like to welcome the members of the public who have taken the time to attend the meeting and provide comments on matters related to district business. Any member of the public may address the board relating to any matters within the board's jurisdiction. This need not be related to any item on the agenda. However, the board cannot act on an item unless it was noticed on the agenda. Persons speaking during the public comment will be limited to 5 minutes, or depending on the number of persons wishing to speak, it may be reduced to allow all members of the public the opportunity to address the board. So at this time, Corey, are there members of the public that would wish to address the board?
Not at this time, no.
Okay, thank you. Well, then I'll close off our public forum and we'll move into the consent calendar. Lisa, would you please read the consent calendar for us?
Yes, item number 1, minutes of the regular board meeting of August 24th, 2021, and special board meeting of August 25th, 2021. Item number 2, approval of reimbursement claims for director's statement of meetings attended and or travel expenses and claim summary for August 2021.
Thank you. At this time, is there any director that wishes to pull one of these items or both the items? Director Ringen. Are you looking
Sorry
for the
about that.
button? Okay.
Yeah, well, and I'm having troubles this morning with Zoom. I don't know, it keeps doing silly things to me. At any rate, I would like to pull a claim summary if I could.
Okay, thank you. Any other director? Director Murphy.
I don't have my hand up. Thank you.
Oh, okay. My little cursor turned into a hand and it was over your. Okay. Corey, is there any other director that you see?
Not that I see, no.
Okay. All right. So go ahead, Director Ringen.
Okay, I guess this would be for Mr. Sheffield, but I don't know. On page 7 of 20, no, on page 9 of 20, George Reed Incorporated. And it has a strange explanation. It says supplies cut back. And then there's an amount of $1,252.55. Supplies cut back. What does that mean?
Don or Eric, you want to address cutback term?
I can take that. Yeah, that's just the term. It's a cold tar or the cold cutback for patch paving, for temporary patch paving.
Oh, okay.
Stock material we have in the yard and down at regional.
Okay, I've never heard that explanation before, that
term?
description.
Yeah.
Okay, then on 10 of 20, there's this, I don't even know that I can pronounce it, Innovizi Inc. And then it says H2O net, $2,230.
I can take that. Innovise is the software program that we use to do the hydraulic modeling at the district. And so it's a subscription-based program. We use it whenever we want to model what fire flows will be at various points, or what pressures will be, or to size pipelines.
Okay, thank you for that. 13 of 20, new age aerial dash, I think it is DTG3 ROV drone for $15,575.30.
Don, you want to address that? That's the underwater Trevor raw water.
Forgot about that. Yeah, so we purchased an underwater drone here a few months ago, maybe a month ago now, I guess, but for some of our quick self-inspections of some of our tanks and some of our reservoirs. We had a demonstration here a couple of months ago, really liked what it could provide us, and safe access to inspect some of our tanks on our own without having somebody to come and do inspections for us.
What a smart purchase. Good going.
Yeah,
I mean,
nice. We'll probably share some pictures and videos with the board at some point.
oh, that's great. All right. Good to hear. Then on 13, bottom of 13 and 14, Pace Supply, $38,000. I'm assuming this is all materials and stuff like that that crews are using. And once I know that for sure, then I have a comment to make on that.
Yep, I'll take it again. Yes, that's it's either restocking our supplies in our warehouse, or sometimes it's a special project. So depending on what item we're talking about, it's either replacing stock and inventory, or it's for a project.
And
I just want to point out that I think that that's an indication of just how busy the crews are and how much you're getting done. I mean, that's a lot of different materials and things like that. So I think it's a really good indication of how busy and what they're getting accomplished out there in the field. I'm bringing this up only because I used to have to put up with it when I had my retail store open, but 18 to 20, and it's apparently we got dinged for a false alarm at someplace, and I'm just wondering if that is indeed true. I know I used to get those once in a while, and it was usually because somebody did something kind of stupid. I remember one time somebody had a birthday, and their girlfriend brought in some balloons and stuff, and of course they waved in front of the detector, and off went the alarm. So it probably wouldn't hurt to have a little discussion with all the guys in the treatment plants and stuff, that it could be something just really small, because to get hit with $184.50 just because an alarm went off, and a false alarm, that hurts.
And I can just, Director Ringen, if I may, I'll tag on to that. This first came to my attention last month, and Corey could probably answer. He kind of handles the security, but we have well over 175 locations. I don't know how many of those are alarmed, but in the past, it was very rare for the sheriffs to charge us any kind of a false alarm or whatever. All of a sudden, something changed at the sheriff's office, and now we've been getting multiple false alarms. Some of them may be our part, some of them may be their part. So we are actively investigating, and they also changed the amount that they're charging us. So we are discussing this with our staff, with the sheriff, with the police department, and trying to figure out what's going on here. So you may see more of these before it's resolved, but I just wanted you to be aware of that.
Well, I appreciate you letting me know that, because that's a proactive sort of stuff that I think TUD needs to do to keep from falling into a trap like that. And I think maybe why this is coming up now is because the Tuolumne County's broke, and I think they're looking for money any which way they can find it. So that's
I appreciate you questioning it, but I just want to let you know we are already aware of this, and we are proactive and addressing it.
Great. Then let me see here. On 2 of 20, I guess this is going to be directed to Abby Parkon, unless somebody else is involved in this. Why, if Les Dean was going to retire, was he sent, did he go to a $130 class? And then right below it, it looks like there might be something else that's part of that, and it's a distribution exam prep class for another $200.
I can take that, Director Ringen. Les was, a 27-year veteran to the district, and he worked right up to his last day of employment. A lot of times people take vacation. He worked right up to the end. This was before his retirement. I'm not sure about the exam prep class, but certainly the review course. It's for his distribution license. It's very important to the district. We will be using Les periodically until we're able to get our inspector position filled. And him having that distribution certification is very important to us. So I think it was an investment well made, and it was before his retirement from the district.
Okay, so it would come into play if you were, it will be very important come into play then if you can't find an inspector right away, and you would bring him back to do some of that sort of work as a, I forget what you call those, annuitant or whatever. I can't remember.
So we wouldn't bring Les back as a retired annuitant as an employee directly of the district, but Les is still in the community. He's still a resource. We can contract through a third party to utilize Les's services, which we plan to do on the Tech-I pipeline, which is scheduled to start later this month. And at least until our recruitment can be completed and we can fill this position with an in-house candidate or, a new person in-house. So yeah, Les is to have an inspector that's distribution certified, at least in the interim, is very important to us. And then hopefully we'll get qualified candidates. And then Les would probably not be interested in working all that much more. He's already indicated that, but he is our relief in the interim.
Okay, good to know. Thank you very much. That's it. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, Director Ringen. Any other comments on this one item? Okay, are there any members of the public, Corey, that wish to comment on this?
No, at the moment, no.
Okay, then in that case, I'll bring it back to the board for a motion and a second. And this is to approve the consent calendar.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent calendar.
Second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Director Kearns. It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none. Any members of the public, Corey?
No.
Thank you. Then, Lisa, would you please call for the vote?
Yes, let's see. For the vote for the consent calendar, Barbara Balin,
Aye.
Jeff Kearns,
Aye.
David Boatwright,
Aye.
Lisa Murphy.
Aye.
Ron Reagan.
Yes,
Consent calendar passes 5-0.
Thank you, Lisa. Okay, we'll go on to our regular business.
President Balin, if I may, I'd like to ask the board to consider having me pull both items 3 and 4 from this agenda item until we can bring it back to the board at a later date with more information, if that's okay with the board.
Thank you. As board president, I concur, and we'll expect to have this brought back at a later time. So thank you.
Thank you.
Next item, item 5. Melissa, would you, Lisa, would you please read item 5?
Yes, item number 5, board consideration and resolution authorizing the submission of a Department of Water Resources Small Community Drought Relief Program grant application for the Mill Villa Swell Replacement Project. Well, this one is my item. So I'll go ahead and just kind of introduce it. And I also see that Matt Nolte is attending, so he might want to add a few things because we're working on the grant application together. So right now, there's a few different drought programs that the state is offering to different agencies in an effort to resolve some of the drought relief issues going on throughout the state. And one of them is the Small Community Drought Relief Program, and it's funded through the Department of Water Resources. So we got together with staff and our interim general manager, and we discussed different ideas and things that the district could need during this time of the drought. And one of the issues we've been having lately is with the Mill Villa well. And so the district is looking to see if we can apply for a grant amount of $204,354 to cover the replacement and expenses related to the Mill Villa well, which would include replacing the pump system, meter, generator, well components, and installation. The one thing about this grant program, just for the board to be aware of, There's about $200 million offering right now through DWR. There is no match needed. We're going to be using district staff as an in-kind match, which they do usually recognize that as a benefit. And then the other thing to realize is that the $200 million offered, I know for a fact they've already gone through about $30 million, and it's a first-come, first-served basis. So the sooner that we can get the application in, the better. And Matt Nolte, did you want to offer anything else about this project?
Unless the board has any questions, I think you covered it pretty clearly, Lisa. Thank you.
Lisa, if you don't mind me, I'll give a little bit of background. I take, we as staff, we see these facilities and talk about these facilities every day. And, for some of the board members in the audience, they don't really have a lot of background. But so we've had, since TUD was formed, we've had this well out there at Mill Villa. It's a high producing well. It has a safe yield of about 180 gallons per minute. It's got a large pump and motor down there. It can pump quite a bit of water, 600, 700, 800 gallons a minute. There's a cavern of water below that well of about 1,500 acre feet. So it's a sizable amount of water. The water quality is, from a secondary standpoint, isn't that great. So we don't often use it. However, back in 2015 and 16, during the last big drought, we felt the need to invest in some money. We took advantage of another grant opportunity then to make major improvements to that well and actually added a treatment plant. I want to say we spent about $380,000 grant funded to improve and create and build a treatment plant for that well system. And all that worked out well in 2014 and 15. And so, annually we have to exercise that well and grab some water for water quality analysis. And this year, while doing that very thing, we think a hole developed in the drop pipe. Above the pump and motor is a pipe that the water's pumped through. We think a hole developed in that pump, and we no longer get water out of the well. So Matt took the reins on this, did some outreach, and got some quick estimates. And quickly the estimates on just to look at this well is very, very expensive, to the tune of $25,000, just minimum work, minimum repairs, if we even know what the problem is. So, and then, Director Ringen, I don't know if you recall, but, several weeks ago, you prompted us to look into this grant opportunity. And of course we did. And we put these, this opportunity and that project together. And Matt and Lisa have worked to put together this project. So hopefully that provides a little bit of background for you.
Thank you, Don. Yeah, this is a big producing well, and I think it's critical, especially for fire flow as well. Any director have any comments on this item?
Looks like Director Murphy does.
Okay.
I just have a couple of questions to understand it a little bit better. So can you say how many acre feet did you say that?
About 1,500 acre feet. And I know that because right prior to my arrival here, the crews here had done a pump test, a 90-day pump test, I think, 30 or 90 days, somewhere like that. And that's where I know that they pumped this 1,500 acre feet over that time.
Okay. And then, so you said the water quality isn't great, which means that if we use it, we need to mix it with other water. Is that correct?
That's one option. Blending, yes, that's one option, but we actually need to treat it for iron and manganese because they're above the limit. So we needed to treat it. That's why we invested and sought that grant funding back in 2014 or 15.
Okay. And I'm sorry for not knowing exactly where this is, but where in the system is this?
In the Jamestown area, Millville Manor. Are you familiar where Millville Manor is? Okay, it's on the
Jamestown area gives it to me.
South side of the highway in the Jamestown area.
Okay, so in the lower reaches of our system.
Correct.
So if we're utilizing this water in, because this is drought relief, right? So if we're utilizing this water in drought conditions, when we're running low on water, how do we utilize it?
So we draft it out of the well, and today we send it through the treatment plant. We erected a treatment plant up there above the well. So there's a treatment plant. Then it goes into a tank at the treatment plant called the Millville tank. Out of the tank, we can do a couple of things. We can gravity it down to a small portion of our community, like the Volpone area and other portions of the Jamestown area. But if we really want to maximize the use of that, the demand, we have to use booster pumps to push the pressure up in the system.
So get it back into more of the middle portion of the system?
Not quite that high, but yeah, just higher than the actual tank itself, for sure.
Okay, so just still serving the Jamestown area?
And portions above Jamestown, yes.
Which portions above Jamestown?
Campo Seco. Matt, you're much
Okay.
better at this part of the discussion than me.
Yeah, so like Don said, the booster pump would allow us to push it back into the Sonora system, and we would get to about the Cuesta Serena area of Campo Seco, and then we would supply all of Jamestown. It's approximately 1,150 service connections actually that we would help supply water to.
Okay. And that would be treated water, not part of the raw water system.
Treated well water and blended with our surface water system, yes.
Right, but going out through the pipes of the treated water system, not going through the raw water
Correct.
portion of the, okay, cool. I think that wraps it up for me. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Any other director have further questions?
Looks like Director Boatwright does.
Director Boatwright. Yep.
Sorry, Corey. I'll let you take over.
No, you're good.
Thank you. Question as to the raw water availability. Would there be any way to, is it just pipes, or I mean, certainly the Washington or the fire we just had in that portion of Sonora, would be a benefit to have a raw water draft hydrant capable system out there on that?
That's a good question. And actually, as a point of location, Director Murphy, around where that fire started is very near where this well is, in that exact location. So the way it's plumbed, it had the ability to be plumbed right from the well into the treated distribution system. But the water quality is such that you just can't do that. It also has a large enough blow off. When we run the well annually to collect our samples, it just goes to a drainage course that will make its way to Woods Creek, right? And I think that's where you're talking about could have been used for a drafting point for the fire, Director Boatwright. Is that what you're referring to?
Well, I was thinking, maybe even just does the old pond up there still exist? Would there be area that possibly CAL FIRE could develop a helicopter dip tank of some sort that could be possibly supplied off of that? Or
I'm not familiar with that pond you're referring to, but I'll look into it, see the close proximity to it. But sure, why wouldn't we keep that thing topped off with well water if we could?
Yeah, I know back in the early 80s, there was a pond up there at the top of, what is now Melville Manors. I don't know if it still exists or not, but, potentially a development of some asset in relations with, CAL FIRE. I know they were heavily using the Gibbs Ranch ponds going back and forth that way. But yeah, anyway, just to kind of expand the box we're thinking about there.
I'll look into it.
All right.
Director Balin has a comment.
Thank you. I just wanted to tag on to what Director Boatwright had said. If there's ways we can look at the potential of unblended water going into the drainage, let's say the Woods Creek, and being able to have CAL FIRE have it as one of their fire water drafting points. Like Director Boatwright said, let's see if we can expand our thinking, and maybe this is something that we can collaborate with CAL FIRE on as we go through identifying other raw water points that fire trucks can draw from. So that's all I needed to say. Thanks.
Yeah, I'm sure Eric Hall will take note of your recommendation there. Thank you.
And Director Murphy has a comment, and then Director Kearns.
Yeah, I'd like to chime in on that too. That and I don't know if that. So we're this item is asking us to basically approve going for the grant money, and I don't know if that would strengthen the grant to also be looking in drought at fire. I sure think it would be. So it might be worth putting that in there. And I really appreciate that Director Boatwright brought that up of the raw water. So prior to the treatment plant of that water, that we haven't had to pay for the treatment on that water being utilized in some way to create a reservoir of some sort, or a purple hydrant or something that can be used as a draft point during fire. Because certainly we're going to be seeing more of that, and in drought years it's going to be more critical than any others. So I think that that's a great thing to not only be thinking about with this project, but as we're moving ahead on any places where we can look at raw water usage versus treated water for fire. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Director Murphy. Any further discussion from the directors?
Yeah,
Yes,
Director Kearns.
Yeah, I'm in total agreement of this, going after this grant. For all the reasons here we've already discussed. 1,500 acre foot cavern under there. That's significant. Of course, it does have the iron and manganese, but that's not uncommon here in Tuolumne County. We're used to that with our wells, that's a if that pond is still available that Director Boatwright brought up, or any other way to make it a raw water fire draft point, hey, all for it. Looking forward to it. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you, Director Kearns. Any other director, Corey?
Not that I see, no. Lisa does have a comment.
Just to clarify, for the grant guidelines, it's directed at drought response, but it's very clear on what you can apply for. So anything with the raw water reservoir would not be in the qualifications for the guidelines. It's really looking at well rehabilitation and supplying trucks of water, hauling water. But we could look at that for another possible grant opportunity, but it wouldn't qualify for this round.
Thank you, Lisa. It's a good discussion. It's always good to build on these ideas. Okay, Corey, is there any member of the public that would like to comment on this item?
Not that I see, no, but Director Murphy does have another comment.
Okay, go ahead, please.
I was just in, thank you for clarifying that, Lisa. And I'm just wondering, Director Boatwright had also mentioned possibilities of CAL FIRE. And so wondering if that might, just off the top of your head, if you know if that might be something that there might be grants through CAL FIRE for that sort of thing.
Well, I do know right now that CCI grants have closed for this year right now. So that would open up most likely again next spring. Probably spring 2022 in March is usually when that round of funding is open up again.
Awesome. It'd be cool to keep an eye out for that in the future.
Definitely.
Okay, Corey, is there any member of the public that wishes to comment?
Not at the moment, no.
Okay, thank you. Then I'll close off public comment and bring it back to the board for a motion.
I'll make that motion to authorize staff to submit a grant application for the small community drought relief program funded through the Department of Water Resources for the Millville replacement project and adopt the attached board resolution.
I'll second it.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, then Lisa, would you please call for the vote?
Yes, and this would be just for the board's reference, it's resolution 1721. And let's see, we'll do a roll call. Director Balin,
Aye.
Director Boatright,
Aye.
Director Kern,
Aye, and thank you, Lisa, for bringing that number in there. I should have waited for you. I apologize.
that's okay. Director Murphy.
Aye.
And Director Ringen.
Yes.
Great, the item passes 5-0.
Great, thank you. And yeah, thank you, Lisa, for getting this grant in. And it's always great to be able to offset the ratepayers' dollars with grant money. Okay, so that with that, let's move on to, let's see, staff reports. I think we're there.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
On staff side, I'll go first. I think others may have some stuff, but there's awful lot going on here at the district. You're very well aware of what all is going on. So, but aside from the normal day-to-days, very important topics that we try to keep you posted on, I just wanted to kind of report verbally out on my my experience a couple of weeks ago at the CSDA conference in Monterey. That was the first opportunity I've had to attend a CSDA conference. And over the years, I've heard different directors report back on how wonderful the conference was, how informative it was, and how thankful they were they went, and how they would encourage staff, besides board members, staff to go and attend. And I've heard it over and over again. And at the conclusion of it, I agreed wholeheartedly with those recommendations. It was a wonderful conference. Next to my last day there, I had this moment where I'm sitting in this room with probably 700 people and feeling like you're just part of a big giant family. Everybody there was warm and friendly and welcoming, provided lots of information, lots of interconnecting, and very curious about what we do here in Tuolumne. And so I had a great time. I will encourage other staff members here at the district to go in the coming years as time comes. But yeah, had a great time. I hope that in the coming next year, perhaps a few more board members. Barbara and I did go. We met several times. We attended a couple of breakout sessions together. We did some separately too. So it was a great time. So thank you for that. And the only other thing I wanted to mention besides that was we've got some information. It sounds like the county is going to be working on, and AirCall's known this for some time, and I know I've known it too, but there's a lot going on. But they're going to begin working on some sort of fuel reduction in the Cedar Ridge area to the tune of about 2,300 acre feet in and around the Cedar Ridge area, which includes some of our infrastructure. So that's pretty good stuff. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Don. Okay, let's see, staff, Eric or Steve?
I'll just let the board know that we continue to work closely with Kiewit on the construction for the Sonora Regional Wastewater Treatment Plant. We have signed contracts, we have insurance and bonds, and they're all currently being reviewed by the funding agency, USDA. And we hope to hold a pre-construction meeting in the middle of October. And then very shortly thereafter, I think we'll be polling the board for potential dates on a groundbreaking ceremony. There seemed to be some interest in that regard. But everything is going as planned right now. Of course, construction hasn't started, so we'll be giving you regular updates once we start moving dirt, and you'll be able to see some activity as you cruise up the highway.
Thank you, Eric. Director Ringen.
Eric, I have a question for you, if you don't mind.
Certainly.
I was out there yesterday, and that Washington fire made a mess of that landscape. Will you folks be able to do some sort of drainage mitigation now that everything's burned off out there before the monsoons hit? I hope they're going to hit.
That's a great question. That's, separate from our wastewater project, and it's almost a recovery type of, sometimes they have a burn area recovery, and I'm sure Director Balin knows even more about this through the Forest Service. We haven't really pursued anything as of yet. That's a great suggestion. I don't know if, we will reach out to the county and the city and CAL FIRE and find out what sort of stabilization and erosion control measures they plan to impose or implement rather out there. Specifically along our fence line where Woods Creek is, I could see that would be very appropriate, and the hillside that is shedding down in there. At some point, don't take this the wrong way, TUD is responsible to protect its facility and its property. And then, how far we go beyond our fence line to protect Woods Creek, I think we would have to be in close consultation with the resource agencies and CAL FIRE and whatnot. But we will make that communication.
That's great because, as you know, probably better than I do, we already had a drainage issue out there. And matter of fact, it was brought up during our tour of the site. And if we had problems with it when it was green, I can only imagine what it's going to be like with it being black.
That's a very good point.
Thank you.
Thank you, Director Ringen. Steve, do you want to go next?
Sure, I'll chime in real quick. Nothing major going on, just real busy with everything, like all of us are. But just to tag on to what Eric said, the last 2 weeks, we continue to have active and frequent conversations with USDA as far as their requirements. The last week has been extensive with the bond counsel and the underwriters. I'm not completely familiar with the process, but I think today the interim financing certificates are being priced out, and that's a critical part of the interim financing. So Eric and myself have been responding to them multiple times a day, and all of that seems positive and on track. And so as soon as that's finalized, we'll be able to report out to the board. As far as Director Ringen's comment about the facilities there at our regional treatment plant, most of you know it came very close and actually threatened it. Corey was actively involved afterwards because you don't think about these things, but it took out power poles, it took out our fiber optics for the facility. So Corey's been working both with PG&E and AT&T to get regional back up and running, and that's all been positive. The other things going on, I'm hoping at the next meeting we'll be presenting the annual audit. We've been working with them to finalize it. They're in the process of their final reviews. So hopefully you'll see that on the next agenda. As well as that, every 2 years, we're required to do an actuarial evaluation of our retiree health plan, affectionately referred to as OPEB. We will also planning on having a consultant be available, attend that meeting and present that to the board as well. So other than that, the usual day-to-day stuff with customers and billing and keeping the water flowing. But that's all I have for the board at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. How about you, Abby?
Hi, yes, good morning again, everyone. On the heels of the other comments about the regional wastewater treatment plant and the Washington fire, I just wanted to publicly thank CAL FIRE for their protection of the wastewater treatment plant. They took it extremely seriously, and in fact, they dropped several firefighters in the middle of the plant via helicopter and went straight to their dug their lines. And so anyway, it was just a wonderful thing that they took it so seriously and that they were able to respond so quickly and really minimal interruption to plant operations other than the power. So I just think we owed them a big message of gratitude there. And we also received another staff commendation that I wanted to share with the board. I like doing this, and this time it was for distribution operator Albert Matlock. He was called out on the last week of August of this year, and after hours for a customer who had a leak and needed their water to be shut off in order for them to repair the leak. And the customer said that they were extremely happy and satisfied and wanted to give kudos to the gentleman for helping him out. He is a disabled member of the community, and he said that his experience with Albert Matlock was yet another reason he enjoys living in such a friendly, family-oriented community, such as Sonora and Tuolumne County. So just wanted to say thank you to Albert Matlock again for providing awesome service to this member of the community. And with that, that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Abby. And I don't want to catch you off guard, but would you give us a brief status on the no changes in the executive order for our COVID, and if we're working on perhaps a hybridized configuration at the boardroom so that we all feel safe, so folks can zoom in or be there in person. If you're not prepared to talk on that, that's fine, but that deadline's kind of coming up at the end of this month. Thank you.
Sure, I can respond. I have been looking into this very with a lot of details, and one of the reasons we didn't present it as an item today is because there still are some unknowns with what's happening in the assembly, and with a bill, Assembly Bill 361, that could potentially give the district more options with respect to being able to continue virtual meetings without having the requirements for posting of the locations that the board members are at if they're not in the facility. So currently, as of June 11th, I believe, Gavin Newsom signed Executive Order 821, which put an end date to the authorizations of being able to hold virtual meetings, public meetings, and exempting the requirements under the Brown Act to post the location of the board members who are attending virtually. So as we reported out, that expires by the end of this month, September 30th. And so as it stands, if there are no changes and AB 361 does not get signed into law, then all of the board members will either report in person to the boardroom, and we will have in-person access to our board meetings again. We can have a virtual option, but for the board members, if you chose not to be in person at the board meeting, in the public access board meeting, then your location, the address of your location would need to be posted on the agenda. And you would have to allow access to the public at that alternative location. That is already in the Brown Act law. And so, yeah, it was something that Dawn and I discussed, and with Jesse as well, as if we should bring it to this meeting, but because there are some things that are sort of hanging, we didn't want to confuse anyone with what the regulations were saying. So we will be prepared with that deadline at the end of this month to be able to have a report next board meeting so that everyone knows what they're supposed to be doing and that we can comply with the current law.
Thank you.
We have Director Kearns with a comment, and then Director Ringen.
Yeah, a big question for you regarding that, the Zoom or the electronic version. So I get it if we're here, we're home, and we elect to take the Zoom option, one of us or more than one of us, and we have to post our home location or wherever it is we're viewing the meeting from. And that pertains if we were out of state on business vacation, same thing, correct?
That
So
is
if
correct.
we're in a motel room somewhere or wherever we are, we'd still have to follow those rules, post it, and somebody could theoretically show up at our doorstep and want to attend the meeting along with us, correct?
That is correct. And yeah, and just to reiterate, and sorry for sounding redundant, that is currently in the Brown Act law. And then, so the governor's executive order N2920 and N3520 last year made those were exempted during the heart of COVID. And so his new executive order 821 is putting an expiration on those exemptions. So just bringing the Brown Act back to what it originally was with the posting requirements for offsite locations.
Okay, thank you, Abby. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Director Boatwright?
We had Director Ringen and then Director Boatwright.
Oh, excuse me. Sorry, Director Ringen.
No problem.
So for Abby Parkon, I've got some real concerns with how that's going to work out, especially here in Tuolumne County, where this COVID thing is now exploding again. And I know myself, I've been extremely careful. I go literally almost nowhere because I'm a high risk person, even though I'm fully vaccinated. But still, this new Delta thing, whether you're vaccinated or not, you still have a chance of getting communicated, getting that bug. And I don't know. I feel very, very hesitant on that. But I'm only one person. But the other thing I want to relate is that back a number of years ago, Liz Bass, when she was, I think, on the city council, but maybe she was a supervisor at that time, she did a meeting from home and had to post the deal on her door and the whole 9 yards. And all of a sudden, somebody just walks in, sits down at her table.
Yeah, I understand your concerns. All of the concerns around public meetings are valid. What we have an obligation to do is comply with the requirements, and so we're watching all of that really closely, and so that we can meet the requirements, but also provide the safest possible place for people to attend the meetings and have access to the meetings.
All right, we have Director Boatwright and then Director Murphy.
Thank you. Abby, I was just wondering if there's been any public comment, either pro or con, to adaptability or accessibility to our electronic meetings.
Can you rephrase your question? I'm not sure I understood your question, Director Boatwright.
I was just wondering if the public in general, if there's been any complaints or compliments as to the new accessibility of the Zoom meeting to the board of directors for TUD.
I'm not aware of any. I'm not sure if, Dawn, you are aware of any comments that we've received. I imagine Melissa McMullen would have received those and she would have passed them on. So I have not heard of anything.
All right, thank you.
Director Murphy?
There we go. So I think that probably there is going to be something that passes between now and then. So I don't want to get too far into the weeds on this. But a question that I have as something that could, is there a possibility that we, either with county buildings or with TUD buildings, that folks who are feeling less inclined to be in a large room masked with a bunch of people that might be able to be in a private office or something like that, in a public space? So either, county offices, I don't know if there's conference rooms or something like that that people could be in that could get posted, as an alternative to being in your home.
Let me, if you don't mind, I'm going to repeat back what I think your question was. Could we also have, for instance, if a board member felt better about being in a room at the district, but privately, maybe in a conference room, could we do it that way and then post that room as a public meeting location as well? Is that what I heard you ask?
Yeah, just wondering if there's a way to sort of have little satellite things, so that you minimize, at least, that people who are feeling that they're at higher risk can take that option. And the disclosure thing I'd like to say is I feel like I would be putting other people at risk because I'm working at the Somerville campus. We've already been closed down. A week and a half ago, I had 6 students contact traced in my class, and out on quarantine for 10 days. So I would keep me out of the room if I was you guys, for your safety.
Yeah.
And so just thinking of opportunity, and there's no way I'm posting my house as a public site. So looking for alternatives to putting you all at risk to all of the risks that I'm personally taking.
Some of us might remember a director a number of years ago was out of town, and he posted his meeting spot in the lobby of some hotel, someplace. And that worked out fine for him, although he did ask, I remember him turning around during public comment if anybody in the lobby had any public comment. So I'm sure there's alternatives.
Yeah, I was just wondering if there's actual public buildings that we could, or office space at TUD that we could have people that are either higher risk or lower risk, or might be spreading things to others, or are really, really worried about getting things spread to them, so that we can mitigate risks.
Mm-hmm.
I think we'll look into this internally and report back to you.
Great, that'd be awesome. Thanks. I just want to put it on the radar. I think that they're probably gonna reevaluate because we, like, UK, was it the UK or the EU that just said restricted travel to US citizens and stuff? I think we're moving into another wave, and we're looking at, I was looking up the deaths when I was at Somerville the other day. One of the teachers said she'd gone to 3 memorial services over the weekend. I asked her how many were COVID related. She said 3. So I think in this county, it's a real, it's a real, and one of those deaths probably was preventable if there had been proper, adequate medical space, and we just don't have that these days. So I would think that being in this situation, there would not be an expectation to have public meetings in person. With the statistics of, so even if something went in that just said, if you're in a county that has terrible statistics, we would be in that space. And so I'm guessing that by the 30th, that something will be in place that we don't have to worry about this. But I was just, if there's easy things to talk about possibilities, don't spend too much time on it, because I don't think it's going to be necessary. But if there's easy things of like, oh yeah, there's 2 offices here, and we could use I know that there's a bunch of stuff down in, the city of Sonora and other places. If there's just easy things to put on a list of like, these are alternative spots, that would be great.
Okay, thank you.
Director Balin has a comment.
Yeah, and I'd like to wrap this up. I think Abby's got some good input from us, and we'll agendize this item next week. We're not the only ones that have concerns. Public has concerns that we're, ranked number 6 out of 58 counties for transmission. So let's just wait till Abby shows up with more information and this item's agendized so we don't get too far down the rabbit hole here. So with that, I'm going to close off that discussion. Thank you, Abby. And any other director wishing to give a director's report?
President Balin, may I real quickly ask Eric Hall to give a quick, brief update? Almost always yearly, we talk about end of spill and at Labor Day and the goals and the targets and this, that, the thing. Unfrequently, we hear about the results. So I asked Eric to kind of quickly give us some details on how we ended up at Labor Day. Real quick.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
So Pinecrest today, we're at 14,800 acre feet. It's 81% capacity, 99% of average. Lions is at 1,060 acre feet, 19% of capacity, 46% of average. So we're doing pretty good. Our low point will be on the 16th of this month, and it'll be 1,023 acre feet at Lions. And then the flows are already coming in from Pinecrest right now. And the flows going out of Lions have actually decreased today. So Lions will start coming back up, and we're going to shoot for about 1,800 acre feet in Lions at the end of October. Pinecrest ended up at 5,607 and some change out on Labor Day. So I think we did real well there with the type of year that we've had and demands. That's about it, unless anybody has any questions or if you want more information about more flows.
Thank you, Eric. Yeah.
We have Director Kearns and then Director Boatwright with comments.
Yeah, thank you, Eric. I appreciate that. And you guys did a good job juggling, getting us through Labor Day. And give me again that number that's in Lions right now, please.
1,060.
Okay, that brings in perspective that well cavern that Don was talking about earlier at 1,500 acre feet. So all the more reason that I believe we made a good decision here today to get that well up and running and get it revitalized with that grant money. So thank you, Eric. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Hey, real quick, Eric, that 1,060 acre feet, what percent of capacity was that? 11 or 19?
19.
19. Okay. And real quick before Director Boatwright goes, yeah, that 1,500 acre feet of water down in that cavern sounds great. It's having the ability to use all of it, in the time frame. So it would be nice if we could actually create that demand. It's very difficult to create that kind of demand, as you can imagine. So
yeah, and then the Matlow pipeline is done, and we're using it right now. As soon as we fired it up and got the flows figured out for what needs to go down the ditch into the plant, we're saving 2 acre feet a day after that pipeline went in.
Wow. Thanks. Cool. Thank you.
That sounds like an excellent water savings. Eric, I am a little concerned though that you said we were 46% of our average for our Labor Day. That to me, that means that Lions was actually less than 1/2 of our average. So this turned out to be our most extreme year that we've incurred with Lions and Pinecrest.
One of them, yeah, I know. I don't have all those numbers. Glenn has those, but I know there's been a few years we've been close to 1,000 acre feet. But yes, this year was a challenge.
And how was water quality in Lions towards where we're at right now?
I think we're doing okay with it. We are sampling up there. We're using the drone up there to pull some samples out of the lower levels of the lake. I haven't seen the results yet, but I'm not hearing a whole lot from the treatment plant operators, which is good.
All right, thank you.
We have Director Murphy with a question.
So you said at Labor Day, we were at 5607 elevation. What is 5608 the normal agreed upon level?
Yeah, there's kind of two. PG&E will shoot for 5610, and then most of the time we hit 5608. It just depends on the drawdown curve that's produced by PG&E.
Okay, so when we're looking at those levels, so we had Lyons Reservoir was at 46% average or 19% capacity, and we'd used an extra foot of water across the entire lake of Pinecrest to keep that level to that point, correct?
No, so we pulled water a week early from Pinecrest and used about 4 inches of water. We got 140 acre feet of water from Pinecrest down to Lyons. The rest of it's been in-stream flows that have come down, evaporation, and then whatever that, I don't know the number, but the water that they pull out for the treatment plant up there for the campgrounds and the permittees.
Could you, I'm sorry, I'm going to have you repeat that again. I'm trying to write it down and wrap my head around it at the same time. So we used 4 inches of elevation, which you said you used how many acre feet was that?
140.
140 acre feet went to Lyons.
Yes.
And so, which leaves 8 inches of change. And you said that was went to evaporation, in-stream flow, and local use in that area.
Yes.
Okay, and in-stream flow, that's going down into what outlets?
So it goes down the South Fork of the Stand. It does end up in Lyons.
It does end up in Lyons.
Yes, and then that also kind of takes care of the in-stream flows that need to leave Lyons also.
Okay, so some of that water did add to the volume in Lyons.
A tiny bit, yes. Yep.
Whatever wasn't used locally and whatever wasn't evaporated. Am I missing something here, or is that?
No, you're correct there. Yeah.
Okay. Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
We have Director Boatwright with another question.
Eric, I think you answered it, but I just wanted to kind of pinpoint it a little bit. Is the in-stream flow from Pinecrest equal to the in-stream flow leaving Lyons?
No, they run, what comes out of Pinecrest is about 13 CFS, and then leaving Lyons is 6 CFS.
And between the two, the difference of the 7 CFS is just environmental consumption water?
Yes, correct.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
We have Director Ringen with a question.
Sorry about that. Can get unmuted here. Eric, have you started discussions or whatever with PG&E as to what their plans are for drawing down Pinecrest, with us not knowing what kind of winter we're going to be going into?
Yes, Glenn and I had a phone call yesterday with PG&E about that. The Philly is currently running. They're making power down at Spring Gap. They're going to be much more conservative this year. What they run down it, knowing the forecast that we have right now, the stored water we have, and then obviously with their curtailment orders right now. So we're going to continue working with them and definitely put some more pressure on them because we're not super comfortable either.
Great.
But after yesterday's conversation, we should have around 7,000 acre feet of storage at the end of December between Lyons and Pinecrest.
Okay, great. Thanks for staying on top of that.
Of course.
Any other questions for Eric? Okay, thank you, Eric. I'm glad you mentioned the Philly draw as well. Good. Okay, any additional non-director items to share? Okay. Any directors' reports? Yeah, Director Ringen.
Oh, it worked this time. I'm unmuted. Okay. On 8/25, attended the City of Sonora EAP meeting. Nothing really to report on that. We're moving forward on energy and water savings plans and so on, but nothing is firmed up yet. Excuse me. On 8/26, the TUD Water Committee meeting was canceled at the last minute, but it turned into an impromptu meeting between myself and our interim GM, Mr. Perkins. On 8/27, attended the TUD Wastewater Committee meeting. I'll say just this, it was very productive, but I'm not going to make any report on it because that is Director of Boat Rights. He's the chairman of that. On 9/2, oh my God, this was just a real terrible deal. I took the required anti-harassment training class. Oh my God, that was a horrible experience. I've had to take it numerous times in the past, but this class was 2.5 hours of just being beat up. On 9/8, we attended the Tuolumne County Natural Resources Committee meeting, and that was real interesting. Most of the meeting was about something that's going to come up at the Board of Supervisors for further discussion at the recommendation of the committee, which I'm not a member of. I always just go as a Tuolumne County citizen. But it's just like our meetings. You can make public comment, and I normally do if I have something that I think I can add to it. But it's a new process that will be, if it's adopted, will be we'll be able to take care of the brush and wood coming out of the forest that's going to get cleaned up, and it's completely zero emissions, and it provides it will make hydrogen, and it will make electricity. It was really the explanation from the people that install this apparatus really gave a good presentation. It looks very, very promising. Although once again, the rub is that you've got to get the biomass from up the hill, down the hill to where the facility would be, and that's what I pointed out. I said, where's the cost savings? How's this going to work? So then yesterday, I have put off for several months now because I want to make sure that our interim GM was able to get his feet on the ground and get caught up. And so I didn't have my meeting that we've been invited to do with him until yesterday. And I hope all the rest of the board directors are taking up that invite to meet with him. I learned a lot, and we were able to share thoughts and ideas back and forth. And so hopefully everybody else is taking up his invite and will take advantage of it. That's it for me.
All right, we have Director Boatwright and then Director Kearns right after.
All right, thank you. I just wanted to comment on the wastewater committee meeting. Director Ringen and myself, along with staff, held on the 27th. We had 4 items in discussion, and I believe we're working forward to more information coming back on all of those. It was a discussion regarding the septic facility fees, discussion regarding a scheduling of groundbreaking ceremony for the board of directors for the new Sonora Regional Wastewater Treatment Plant. We talked about the operation and maintenance of the reclamation system, and we're working on developing a policy for augmenting and, you know, working with our existing reclamation customers to make sure that they can still run their business while we run ours. So I look forward to our next meeting, probably be the first part of October. I think it'd be the timeline. All right, thank you.
Okay, I don't have a report, but I do have a question for Dawn. I know it didn't help any, but I was just curious, that little rain we got the other day, was it even measurable, Dawn? Or I know you guys track it.
Measurably got my truck really dirty. That's about all. No, it was somewhat. Eric's listening. He'll probably have a better answer for you.
No, it was very, very minimal.
So just a trace, in other words.
Just, yeah.
Okay. All right. That's it. Thank you.
Yeah, if I might add to Director Boatwright, and I'm sure the rest of you are curious, you know, with the reclamation season, the crews are doing a great job out there, and great coordination with the reclamation users, frequent, many times a week communication with them. With that cycle they're using, scheduling of water, they're able to maintain a level out there at ports. So meaning, what I mean by that, if everything stays the same and the weather stays the same, we should be able to make it till October 15th. So we're really pleased with that. So everybody's working together for the greater good here.
Thank you, Don. Any other directors before I wrap it up? Yes, Director Murphy.
I just had one more question to Eric Hall, and that is, how are things going out? And I'm not sure if this is your purview or not, but Quartz Reservoir and out to the Rangers, how's that reclaimed water looking right now? I'll
take that, Director Murphy. Yeah, that's what I was probably not very clear on. So yeah, for the last few weeks, the reclamation users have been on some sort of a cycle. So they're off for a few days and on for a few days. And with this cycle, we're able to maintain a certain level in Quartz Reservoir. So it gets as high as about 17 feet, which is below the outlet tower. I need to take you out there someday. It's really cool, especially if you can see it right now within this level. But anyway, a high of 17 feet or very near 17 feet to a low of about 14.3 feet before it starts to recover again. We've been able to maintain that pretty consistently for the last couple of weeks. And like I said, a lot of coordination with the ranchers and the utility workers, and everybody's working together and getting it done. So I think we're going to make it till October 15th, depending on the weather.
Very good. Can I ask one more follow-up on that?
Sure.
Because I know that it's come up of kind of what the choices of TUD are on conservation and stuff. For that, the water that ends up in Quartz Reservoir is water that has gone through our treated water system, gone through our households and businesses, and come out the other end, that's the water that ends up in courts, right? Is there another source?
Generally speaking, you're 100% correct. Although the last few years, going back to 2014 and 15, with Director Boatwright and I, we've been trying to augment some of that supply when we know they're going to be short with some well water that we have in and around the area that's nearby a sewer system that we can put into the system to help augment the system, the reclamation user. This well water I'm referring to, again, is just not potable, and there's no treatment plant nearby to treat the water. So we have to exercise these pumps anyway to keep them healthy, and we understand how they work and sample the water. So was that helpful?
There's a little cushion there as well.
Just a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks for clarifying. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Any other director before I wrap it up? Okay. Yeah, I would second what Ron Ringen said, which is to have a ride along with Don or whoever. The reclamation system is really fascinating. We have a great long-term relationship with those ranchers, and I'd encourage all of us when we have we have kind of a little barbecue for those guys, for the ranching community, to thank them, for all of us to show up and introduce ourselves. So that will happen, I think, later this year. So with that, I just wanted to say that on August 27th, I attended the Mountain County Water Resources Executive Directors Board meeting, and that was held in Placer County. And I'm able to commute with a fellow director from Calavera, so I don't have to, use my own vehicle and charge that to the district, et cetera. So that works out really well. And during that meeting, we did some final interviewing for our new executive director, and then we made the selection. It's a 9-member board. As many of you know, Mountain Counties represents 64 member agencies in the Mountain County region only, the watershed of the Sierra foothill to the crest. So we concurred, and we offered the position to Justin Caparuso, who the executive director, the new position, because John Kingsbury retired. And he had a great, if you will, a great interview. And he comes as a public affairs officer, one of the hats that he's worn, from RCRC, and that stands for the Rural County Representatives of California, of which some of our Board of Supervisors are members of. So that went really well. And we're going to be rolling into an October 27th members luncheon and conference. And that's going to be up there in the northern part of the foothills. I believe it's going to be a venue in Loomis. And of course, everybody's going to take precautions to attend that luncheon. And then we'll have a chance to introduce Justin at that time. On 8:30 onwards, I attended the CSDA Leadership Conference. And as I mentioned, I went from our county, which is number 6 in terms of COVID per capita transmission, to a county, which is Monterey, which was 51 of 58 counties. So I was really interested in how, in these larger venues, are you really going to take this COVID thing seriously? And I was really impressed. Everybody masked. Lunches were, assembly style, and then outside. People asked permission. Masks in the elevator. Are you okay if I, go into the elevator with you? I mean, it would, and even downtown, Old Town, Monterey, there, everybody was masked, and you could really see that they were, taking this issue very seriously down there. So I was very, very impressed with the precautions. As Dawn said, that the conference was amazing. It was really great. I'd encourage all of you guys to go, and also to the aqua conferences. I won't belabor each inspirational session I went to, but let me just say that they ranged on, general manager, productivity, and to collaboration. I attended one called Collaboration, how multiple agencies can work together, which would be like what Eric Johnson's saying. We try to partner with CAL FIRE to do some brushing and crushing, some of that brush that burn down behind central air and heating and treat that slope with a post-burn treatment measure so that slope doesn't unravel. There was another session on civil grand jury insights. I thought that was really, really valuable. I learned a lot on the purpose of the grand jury, how we answer to the grand jury, et cetera. So that was pretty good. And there was also another session, again, how to help your general manager succeed in your board too. And then this one, which was pretty well filled up. It was recent developments in redistricting and the California Voter Rights Act. So that was really well attended. So all in all, it was a really good conference, like Don said. And again, if you have a chance, it's great for networking. And speaking of networking, I spent a couple of hours with some Mesa folks in that Southern California, Mesa Water District, to begin to discuss how the north, south, east, west can work together. They have the desal plants, which take the stress off the Sierra. And if we can get our forest management under control, then that will help add more water to California's water budget. So we all need to work together. So expect more on that. I want to give a big shout out to, as Abby said, all the teams that fought the Washington fire that could have blown up. We all got very, very lucky, and our building just only got scorched, our regional treatment plant, so that was great. The last thing I wanted to mention was the state's curtailment of water rights. When it gets severe, it goes into the pre-1914 water rights. And what that means is that the senior water rights actually get curtailed. And those are the most senior in the state. And I just wanted to mention this because it shows the role of this water. I've got a water right below me that is an 1852 water right. And it's the oldest, one of the oldest in the county, and it's a ditch. And it goes out for Guerra Road, and it goes out to a ranch called the Powell Ranch. It's now Cavalry Cattle Ranch. I was visiting a neighbor, and there was a ton of wildlife up on her property, on her feeders. And I asked, what's all the wildlife doing up on your ranch? And she said, look. And the state had curtailed that water. And there were, I don't know, I want to say about 50 pair of that's a cow-calf pair that were out of water. The ranchers were caught off guard. They had to use their well water, pump out of our county and fill their tanks. I mean, the amazing amount of dependency on this 170-year-old transportate water conveyance system, gravity fed, and the reservoir that it ended up in. The dependency on this and the state curtailment was just a phenomenal impact on our livelihoods up here and our wildlife up here as well. And it just was just a microcosm of what's happening all over California with the curtailment of the senior water rights. I know, Jeff, you've got a post 1914, but still we are being asked to forfeit a lot, and I saw it firsthand. And she's putting out water like crazy for the birds. So I just wanted to kind of mention that. And the last thing I'm going to say is I asked Don to pass this around. This is Mountain County's newsletter. The legislative passes $1 billion in additional wildfire prevention funds and millions in forest resiliency dollars. So one of the things I want to point out is there's going to be $50 million to CAL FIRE for urban greening and urban forestry projects, $19 million to CAL FIRE for tribal forest health projects, $61.1 million to the Sierra Nevada Conservancy. And so at any rate, that should show up. I hope you guys, my fellow directors, please take a look at that. And perhaps there's some things that we can advance and help get some money to offset firewater draft points, for example. Okay, so expect that in your mailbox. Don is going to be emailing that around. Okay, any other information to share for during this meeting? No? Okay, then with that, I will adjourn our excuse me?
No, I just said thank you all.
Okay.
All right.
Well, let me adjourn the meeting. I'll adjourn the meeting of 9:14 at 10:29. Thank you.
Thank you.
Y'all
Take
later.
care.
Thanks, everyone.